Hello. Welcome to my channel. This is Mike Patel. The channel name is Home Savvy Central. I'm glad you're here again. If you're coming here for the first time, welcome. Again, I'm Mike Patel. If you go live, then please communicate with us. If you're watching a recording, please comment and we'll answer your questions. I have a special guest today. We're going to talk about buyers and sellers and the biggest concerns we have today in our market. It has changed. With me to talk about is my past client and a good friend, Ray. Let me bring him on and then we'll continue this conversation. But I'm glad that you're here. Just give me a minute. Okay.
What's up, Mike?
Hey, Ray, how are you?
What's up, man? Congratulations on way. This is awesome. Remember when I was first starting my channel, you were like one of my first guests. Stoked and honored the Mahesh Patel, the Mike Patel, the greatest real estate agent in Orange County, to be on this channel. Super excited for me, my friend.
Perfect. Thank you. By the way, this is Ray Bracamontes. He lives in LA County. He's a good friend of mine. I sold him a house years back and we became friends. And the reason I brought him on board is, we as realtors have our own opinions on what are the sellers concerned, but deep down, we really don't know. So I brought on Ray, and I don't know if he's thinking about selling or not, but if he's not, that's fine. And if he is thinking about selling 1 year, 2 years, 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road, what would be his concerns in the current market and what would be his concerns down the road? So we're going to have a conversation. I also want to have a conversation pretending that Ray is going to sell a home and he becomes a typical buyer. So we want to talk both sellers and buyers and the concerns. So if I may ask you one question, Ray, in today's market,
Sure.
Knowing everything that you know, what's your biggest concern if you were to sell your house today?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, everybody knows this is one of the scariest markets we've probably been in since 2008, right? So it's a super scary time. It's also could be super advantageous. You never know. My wife's much better at this. When we first bought our house from Mahesh Patel, my wife was the one that was like, hey, it's 2012 and the market's crashing. This is the time to buy. And she's like pushed me and she got me jump. And so we got that house. Well, right now, when things were going, and in the past 6 years, even just before COVID, things have gone up and up and up and getting more and more expensive. The prices are getting so high. It was almost a time to sell, but my wife's like, no. And so because of the fact that I think this is the number one fear of most sellers. If I were to sell my house right now, well, how does the process work? Where do I go? Like if I got $600,000 from my house, just say $600,000 for my house. But I got to move into a house. And right now the prices are so expensive. I can't even probably get anything in my name. That's the balance, I guess, is like, how do I buy in such a high valued market?
Right. Absolutely right. That's one of the biggest concern is that, hey, I don't mind selling. I'm going to profit, like you said, 600,000, 700,000, $1 million. Of course, we are in California, but maybe in other states, they may profit $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, which is a lot of money.
Nice.
So the question is, if I sell, take all this money, where do I go? Because the inventory is low. And that's one of the reasons the inventory is low, because people are saying, hey, what the heck? If I sell, where do I go? But if I can ask you another question, when you bought in 2012 and when the rates went up, whatever, and when the rates came down 4 years ago to 2.5%, 3%, 4%, 5%, did you refinance?
Yes.
Okay.
That was
so here's
huge.
another problem, right? So you're probably saying, wait a minute, I have 3 or 4%. Why would I buy at 6 or 7%? So that's another issue.
I was
Correct?
thinking about that today. Yeah, I was like, dude, what if even if I didn't want to sell, like what if I just wanted to get like 10 grand to fix my roof or something like that? Well, the rates are so freaking high. The HLOC would be a horrible deal right now.
Right. Yeah. So this is what you're saying right now. The two things we talked about. If I sell, where do I go? And if I sell, why would I let go my 2, 3, 4% and go to 6, 7, 8%? And that is one of the main reasons why there's a nationwide inventory shortage. At the same time, we have had the biggest demand in home purchases in years. So when we combine those two, right now I heard that in Florida, thank you, by the way, if you're in Florida, we pray for you. There's a big hurricane 5. I heard it may switch to category 5. I hope it doesn't happen. You guys just went through it a couple of weeks ago. In fact, I have some friends who are supposed to leave for a wedding tomorrow, and I'm leaving for a wedding tomorrow. And the airport has been shut down since 9, will be shut down at 9 o'clock in Florida.
Is the
So
wedding in Florida?
no, the wedding's in Atlanta, but they are coming from Florida. And now they may not be able to come because now the winds are 165 miles per hour and it's Cat 5. So we pray for the Floridians. And also, the other reason I want to mention now that we mentioned Florida is a lot of the sellers, they've seen their prices drop because of the hurricanes this year and the last year and all the issue with the insurance. So Florida is one of those states where it's taking a dive on home prices, and there's a significant lower home prices and a significant increase in inventory. So we think about you. If there's anything we can do, feel free to contact us. We'll be glad to help you. But coming back to inventory, prices this is a nationwide issue, so any your thoughts about inventory? Is it going to go up or down, Ray, based on what's going on out there?
Well, I kind of got like worried the other day, and we talk all the time, so I was worried. Remember, I was worried about the strike that happened in the East Coast with the ports, and the ports were closing, and Instagram and Facebook was lit up with the economy's gonna all the fear, the economy's gonna crash, and I like anybody else fell for that too, and I was like, oh my god. And so, but I didn't look at it. I was like, damn, the economy's gonna suck, people are gonna lose their jobs, it's horrible. But it's kind of this is the elephant in the room. When things like that happen, and I've heard other investors say this, when there's blood in the streets, the time to buy, because I was thinking if that happens, if that strike were to last longer, and if it happens again, then the economy does crash, then the prices are going to come down, right? And then that might be the time to buy.
Yeah, but Ray,
not good for the seller, but good for the buyer.
Yeah, and we've been hearing things like that for years and years, since 2019. I have some good friends still haven't bought. I'm telling them buy every year, 5 freaking years. Sorry to say that, they haven't bought. So are you crazy? You could have bought a house for 500. Today it's costing you 800. They still haven't bought. So to answer your question, yes, there is high inflation. Everything's expensive. Gas, food. McDonald's is what? I mean, a special today at Carl's Jr. is what, $14.99? That used to be $6.99.
KFC for $9.99.
Exactly. So it is very expensive. But in my opinion, to answer your question, I don't see a crash coming, and I have a few reasons, and you can ask me those, and I'll answer those.
Awesome.
So
we should actually call you. Everybody who follows you should DM you when we have this fear.
I've been already doing that. People do, because I have my channel. I have 2 channels. One is my Home Savvy Central, for those of you watching right now. I also have a Mike Patel Group channel, which focuses on buyers. It's called the Real Estate Simplified, and this channel is Home Savvy Central. It's more geared for homeowners and home sellers, but they work hand in hand. And the reason I do both channels is I want to understand what the sellers are thinking and what the sellers want to know, what kind of education they're hungry for. At the same time, I understand what the buyers are asking and what they're hungry for, so I can put them together to bring them together. Because, if a sale of a house is between a buyer and a seller, if they're not in agreement on the price and the terms and conditions and contingencies and all that, nothing's going to happen. So they have to be both in sync, and that's why I have the 2 channels. And the Home Savvy Central I just launched 2 months ago, and is doing very well.
Amazing. I would just add on to that, your email, the email blast that you put out, super informative. Me and my wife follow your email. You get emails like crazy and you don't open them, but Mike's email, I open it because there's detailed, it's filled with information, with charts, and so the intel that you have as far as real estate is right there in the email. So I love the email blast.
Yeah, thanks for validating, because one of the reasons I do the emails out, and I want to keep my clients and potential buyers and sellers and my family and friends who own real estate, who own investment properties, who want to buy, I want to keep them educated and informed. So that's why I do that e-blast to not too many people, but the people that I know. And what happens is, because I have a YouTube channel, 2 of them, I do a lot of research. I send those emails out, and every time I send out, I have some questions. Hey, what do you think of this? Where'd you get this information? So what I learned from talking to buyers and sellers on my channel, and those who DM me or make comments, And what I learned from doing all the research to put out those emails, it takes a lot of time. It takes me hour and a half to compile all those. I have to do a lot of research. So when we say something, and that's how I started my live stream, because I got a lot of questions, and I like the style of answering question on the spot rather than preparing it and sending you an email or a video. I like live. I like to answer things right on the spot. And that's why I started this live, and it's been 2 months, and I do this every Monday. So I'm glad you're here.
Amazing.
Yeah. So everything that we do goes hand in hand, and we have to stay educated ourselves. And how I get information is I talk to a lot of agents. I talk to a lot of brokers, not only locally, but nationwide. We have a nationwide network. And that's why I mentioned Florida, because I just talked to an agent yesterday, and she's devastated because she has 5 listings, and each listing has been around for 30 to 45 days, no offers or nothing, not even showings. So she's concerned. And that's what we had the conversation yesterday. Hey, what's going on? I said, Mike, it's priced right. I staged it. I cleaned it. But these hurricanes is not helping because it's towards Tampa. I don't know exactly where it is, but it's towards the Tampa side somewhere. And I know the last hurricane was towards Tampa, and the today's is towards Tampa. It's not on the Miami side. So I know that much, So she's saying that the market is tough over there in Texas, I mean, I'm sorry, not Texas, but Florida.
Well, yeah, I think people are probably not looking at a place right now.
Right, it's tough out there. Right.
Unfortunate hurricanes
Yeah.
happen.
Okay. So Ray, let's talk about one more thing, which is a big concern. And let's talk about it from the buyer's point of view. Let's say you sell your home and now you're a buyer, and you say you want to go to Florida or Montana, or because you're retiring, and sell this big house in California and pay something cash in Montana or Idaho.
Yeah.
What would be your concerns, 2 or 3 concerns, if you were to do that? Is it price? Is it interest rate? Is it the location, weather? What are 3 concerns as a buyer would have?
Well, that's perfect, because one of them definitely would be weather, because I've been in California all my life since I was born. So we have here in California, we have earthquakes to worry about. So the whole house starts shaking, and you worry about it falling apart. But in
Did
Texas,
you feel the earthquake yesterday, by the way, in Ontario? Did you feel it?
I didn't feel it. Did you feel it?
You did. I did.
It was like 3 in the morning.
It was at 3 or 4 in the morning. I felt it. The house, there was a small jerk and there was a rambling. And then I couldn't go to sleep. So I was up since 4 o'clock. So I got up, had my tea, coffee, and started doing some work, So
some chai.
Yeah, chai. Yeah.
Nice. Usually I don't sleep, so I'm surprised I actually slept last night, so I didn't feel it. So that's crazy. But yeah, people have been telling me about it. But yeah, that's what we deal with in California. In Texas, you deal with tornadoes. In Kansas, you deal with tornadoes. I don't know anything about these other states. They're beautiful. I see pictures of them. I've traveled to some of them, but that would be a fear. Of course, the weather, and I'm definitely not going to Florida except for on vacation maybe, and not in August or September. But so weather for sure. My second problem, I would have loved to move to Texas. I love Texas. Here's the problem with Texas. Everybody in Texas is from California now.
Yep. Yeah.
Everybody.
You bet.
California's in Texas.
Texas, California. Yeah, that's right. And they don't like Californians. From what I hear, they hate them.
Oh, I'm sure we make everything worse.
Anywhere they go, they don't like them. So
they used to have. Hey, this is the thing. They used to say howdy in Texas. Now they say hey. What's up, Holmes? So yeah, it's different. That'd be the second thing is it's more a dysphoria of everybody's. It's not the same places that you remember when you were a kid. Right. So that is a true concern. Secondly, the weather, like I said. Third is there is not a concern. It's a positive. Like, you should be able to, because it's so freaking, it's probably one of the most expensive markets in the country is California. You should be able to get double the size of a property when you go to another state. Absolutely. As long as you don't go to New York. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if you go to those states where the medium home prices are lower than California or East Coast or West Coast or Bay Area, I think like I'll give an example. Orange County, the medium home price is about $1.2 million, right? California, medium home price is $900,000. The national medium home price is $430,000. So if you were to sell, let's say it's $900,000 average price, and let's say you had a loan of $300,000, $400,000 left, you still have $600,000 left. Even if you take half the money and pay cash or put a big down payment on a house in Texas or Montana for 300, 400, $500,000, you get a newer house, you get a bigger house, you get a bigger yard, and your payment drops to half from what you had.
Oh, it's worth it. It's
So
worth it.
that's why a lot of Californians are moving out, and they drive the prices up in all the states, and especially Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Washington. All those guys don't like Californians because we drive the prices up, for the
We're
local.
creating traffic over there. We're taking the traffic over there.
Yeah. So it's a catch-22. So what you're saying is one would be the weather. The other thing is that you get a bigger house. That's a positive. What was the other one that you mentioned? That
just that pretty much everybody that everybody that we hated, which is ourselves, is in another state. So California is in Texas, California is in Idaho. So these different places that it's kind of spread out now. It's like they're not this, and then like you mentioned it, the prices have now gone up because the demand in those states has gone up because everybody's leaving California.
Yeah, but a lot of homes that I'm selling, a lot of the homes that I sell, and a lot of them in Orange County, or it just happened that my clientele is a little older. They're seniors or 55 or more or whatever. The kids are up to college, or they have their own jobs and working, and they've moved out of state or whatever. A lot of the seniors that I've sold, a lot of the homes I've sold in the last couple of years, people have gone to Nevada, gone to Arizona, gone to Washington State, gone to Utah, and they're having a ball. They say, Mike, when they get the check, I mean, they don't get a check these days. They get an ACH transfer. They're happy because they got this big check and they're going to buy a house, and they still have money left over for retirement. So they're enjoying. They're really enjoying, as long as they enjoy the weather, as long as they're okay to go somewhere and have no family if they left over here. So on that note, if you were to live to Texas or Montana, and this is just a scenario, what would be your concerns leaving California as a seller?
Because you just mentioned a great time to do it is when you're retired, because you don't have to worry about a job. But if I wasn't retired, I would need to find some employment in those areas. And is there even an employment? I'd have to really research and make sure that I was going to have a job before I left.
Correct. Yeah, that's the biggest concern. So, some of the homes I've sold to the youngsters, the millennials, I've sold several homes over here, or they were renting. I referred them to agents over there, and they bought homes in Nevada and other states. Those guys are working remote.
Nice.
They don't have to go to work. And, these are in high-tech positions, Siri and Google and NVIDIA and Apple. So they have senior positions, and they said, Mike, we don't have to go. We may have to go there every couple of weeks, and say it's cheaper for me to fly out there, even if they go for 2 or 3 days, than buy a house here and pay $5,000 a month rent or mortgage payment.
That makes
so if they can work remote, it's good. If not, then that is a challenge to find a job that's going to pay you enough salary so that you can make your mortgage payment.
Yeah, because no matter how cheap it is, you still got to make that bill.
Yeah.
Every month.
Well, you still have insurance. You have property taxes. You have living expenses. You maybe have kids. You got college expenses, right? You have travel expenses. So a lot of things.
Crazy.
Right now, one of the things I want to talk about, Ray, and let's say again on the scenario, you sold your California home. Now you're going to, let's say, Texas. You know where you're going to go. Your family, friends over there, they say, come over, and you want to go there, and you're okay with it. You have your own business. You're a consultant. So those are not the issues. The one issue that a lot of sellers have, and the sellers have from here that becomes buyers in Texas, is the tight inventory, not only here, but in Texas. How would you handle that? Because when you go there, you find a house and there's 10 offers on it or 5 offers on it, or there's not enough choices. How would you react to that?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to have enough capital to be able to beat out the other people, number one. But more fear for me, since I'm such crazy about fear, the more fear for me would be this. Like, if they weren't putting offers on this place, because that would make me think, wait a minute, is this that place where the ground starts to sink in? Is this that place where the tornado hits every year? Why is nobody getting this house right here? What's going on? I'd be more afraid of that. That's what I fear about, like Florida and Texas and places like that. Like, there's certain spots that the hurricane always hits or the tornado always hits. Like, we being outsiders, we don't know where we shouldn't buy. That's the big. Where shouldn't we buy? Is a question.
Yeah. Yeah. It's challenging, So what you're saying is that you'd rather go into, you would rather buy in an active market versus in a market where there's not activity because that makes you nervous. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because it's like a restaurant, right? When you go to a restaurant and you see the whole place is packed and there's a waiting line outside, you know that place is good. But when you see like only one guy in the taco place and there's like this kind of putrid smell as you walk in, you're not going to go there. It's not looking good. So
Yeah.
like it's the same thing with buying a house, I
Yeah.
think.
Hey, can I tell you, Ray, something that you're not gonna like?
Uh,
So you just said that you would rather see homes and buy a home that has multiple offers. I bet you when you move to Texas and you like to pay higher price, your neighbor's not going to like you because you just jack the price up, and your local neighbors who are thinking of buying are not going to like you because you don't mind paying. For you, an extra 20 grand extra is not a lot of money, but for the locals to pay 370 on a 350 house is a lot of money,
oh yeah, they're going to be
right?
pissed.
So
They're not going to invite me to the 4th of July block party.
exactly. So it's amazing how the Californians think about housing and how the locals think about housing, because it's such a price difference. Because I have buyers calling me and say, I want to buy $1 million home. And I tell them, in Orange County, you get a 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, maybe 2,000 square feet home built in 1965 or 1970. Can you believe that I say that? And I say, hey, you want a newer house in Irvine? $1 million will get you a 2 bedrooms, 2.5 bath condo.
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
ridiculous. It's
My friend,
ridiculous.
my friend is pretty a wealthy gentleman in Pennsylvania, and he always thinks about coming over here. And I go, you totally should. You'd move immediately from wealthy to middle class.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. So let's look at a couple of more things. How are you on time, by the way? I know you had to
We got
pick up.
about 5 minutes. I got
Okay.
5 minutes.
Yeah. Just let me know when you want to stop, because I know you have to pick up your kids and you have strict parking rules there. You're waiting in the parking lot,
I'm
and I do
actually in
appreciate.
front of the house of an amazing parking attendant.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay,
She's the police, so I think I should be fine.
right, right. Okay, so let's talk about something that nobody has control. You as a seller or a buyer, or me as an agent, or anybody, and that is the economy that's coming up. And what I mean by that nothing to do with the election, but that's also a concern. But what's going to happen in the next year or so as far as economy goes? But I want to get your perspective as a seller and not mine as a realtor.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost. I hope it doesn't come to that point, but it's almost like if the economy keeps going the way it is, if it's $10 for a number five at McDonald's,
Yeah,
if it's even if you go to the grocery store, it's not saving any money. It's the price you paid for going out last year, and it continues in that route. It may get to the point where you literally have no choice. You have to
hmm,
leave California. You
right,
have to sell your home because look at all the advantages that you just mentioned in this webinar. Like the houses are cheaper over there. It's nicer. You've seen the pictures on Instagram. The
yep.
people
You get
are
newer
nicer.
homes, you get bigger yards, right?
Some
Yeah,
of them already set up, right? There's neighborhoods in Texas that are all brand new neighborhoods, set up completely, water, property, everything's brand. You're moving into a brand new home here in
right,
California. Try to find a brand new home. You're gonna have to go all the way to Victorville or something like that in the desert.
right.
So I'm ready to sell right now just from this conversation I'm having.
Ah,
But my wife doesn't know.
you know what's a good state that you might want to go to? I
uh,
have a very good friend. He was on my show last week or the week before. He is in Boston, Massachusetts.
ooh,
Do you want to
I
go there?
get
But
that.
hey, it snows like crazy there and it gets cold there.
Does it? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
it
that's the
gets
only
frozen.
thing.
How about
Texas is like
Alaska?
that too.
Alaska home prices are pretty reasonable. Would you go there?
Well, only if I knew how to like Alaska's a different thing, right? You have to know how to survive.
Oh
Like there's
man,
no grocery store. You have to go
get it.
hunt.
Nope. No, I'm not going there. Especially
There's
me
no
being a
snow.
vegetarian. Me being a vegetarian, man.
Oh, you'll die. Yeah,
Yeah,
because the fat of the meat is what you need to for
yeah,
when it's cold. So you'll you'll
yeah.
you'll you'll
Oh
last
yeah.
like 2 weeks, Mike.
I won't make it there. Right. Yeah. Okay. So going back to the economy, do you feel that, and I know you mentioned the port strike, and I don't know how intense that is. I know we heard for a week, oh, it's going to be crazy. The West Coast is going to go on strike, and East Coast is on strike, and all the shipping is going to stop and we're not going to have Christmas goods and uh, blah
Black
blah blah.
Friday.
I haven't followed up with it because it's just too much negativity. But where do you see the economy going? Is it going to improve in the next year or so? And this has nothing to do with the election, by the way. Whether it's red or blue or purple, it doesn't matter. Whoever comes in, it is what it is. Where do you see it going? Do you see it improving or getting worse before it gets better?
Yeah,
And
I
what's
mean,
the timeline?
this is just my personal opinion. Nothing to do with politics, like you said. Human beings, we want more money for what we do. Whatever job you have, whether you're at a fast food restaurant, you're selling homes, you're in sales like me, we always want more money. But in that same argument, and this is what happens in economics, if you start to raise the minimum wage and you keep going, yeah, that's fair to the people, but it ends up making it more expensive for the same people you just raised it for. Everything keeps getting more and more and more and more expensive.
Right.
We're digging our own hole in the good old free, like trying to make it better for everyone. Well, guess what? We're actually digging our own hole by raising our, we got to raise. Good. Now everything's 3 times more expensive, and now you can't afford that.
Right.
So that's just my crazy opinion.
Right. So basically, we don't know where it's going to go. It could improve. It could get worse. We just don't know what's going to happen, right? The strike is there. The weather is there. We got fires like crazy. We got earthquakes. How many earthquakes have we had in the last 3 weeks? 3?
Yeah, we have like.
How many fires have we had? How many tornadoes or hurricanes are coming in Florida? We have a lot of things happening, and there's a lot of toxic noise or mentality between the politics. We won't go there, but I think all that is affecting as well because people are just turned off or pissed off or angry, anxious, and not taking any sides. A lot of things going on. So we have no idea where the economy is going. So it makes it difficult for the buyers to make a decision, for the seller to make a decision. And then us agents and brokers are kind of in between and don't know how we can help. And we want to help, but then we're kind of stuck, So
it's sad for you too, because then they go and change the rules. Like you can't even make your commission. Like we gotta. I don't even like figuring out my tip at a restaurant. Now they gotta have me negotiating with Mike about how much to give him. When I sold my house, he took care. Why just be fair?
Right.
You find a trusted agent, you can do that, and I think they went
way
overboard by litigating that position, and it's going to be a nightmare for people to sell, and it's going to be a nightmare for people to buy because now I got a contract in something I have no idea about.
No idea. Absolutely, you're right. And with that, Ray, I'm gonna make sure you have enough time to get off.
Yeah, I gotta go, man.
But I'm gonna send you out with the music. Give you a send off. Right send off. So
can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Just thank you for having me on, Mike. It's been a pleasure. Anytime I can come on and help you out, I'd love to. I want to tell people on YouTube, this man knows what he's talking about. Number 1, that's what you want. Number 2, you want somebody honest. This is the guy to talk to. That's my bias. Love Mike. Love his family. God bless, Mike. You have a great show, okay?
Thank you. I'll call you again on this show maybe next month, end of next month or so.
Sounds good, my brother. Take care.
Okay, thanks. Good luck. All right. We're going to give you a good send-off. There we go. With some music there. Thank you, Ray. Okay. All right. Thank you for hanging in there, those who are watching right now. And if you're watching the YouTube recording, if you've heard so far, if you have any concerns, if you have any questions, please make those comments. I'll make sure that I answer all those questions personally. If I have to call you or text you or send you information, I'll be glad to do so. I'm here to help and answer any questions. And I've started this live stream about 2 months ago. I do it not only to give education and information to the buyers and sellers, I also do it to educate myself, because if I'm going to come up here and talk for an hour with a guest or without a guest and rumble around, I better make sure I'm saying the correct things or the right things or the current things, because this is recorded and you can always come back and tell me, hey, you said this and this is what it is. So appreciate you watching. Let's continue. What I want to do is continue what I talked with Ray, is being a buyer and a seller and some of the concerns. So one of the concerns I wanted to talk, and Ray had to leave, is talk on both sides. If you're a seller, then one of the biggest concerns we've had, and in fact, I just had a conversation 5 minutes before I came on this call with a seller who's thinking about selling. A house just came on the market on that street, exact same floor plan, listed for 1.2. It's got a brand new everything, cabinets, stoves, appliances, flooring, new landscaping. They gutted the house and it's listed for 1.2 with a pool. My client that I'm talking to is considering listing at the same price at 1.2, 1.25, etc. But he has not done much upgrades. It needs updating, carpeting, paint, appliances. Everything is not old, but it has not been recently updated. So the question is, what are the cost of upgrades, and is it worth for them to upgrade and then sell, or should they sell as it is? Hey, this is what it is. We're going to drop the price accordingly, maybe not 1.25 but 1.xx. The buyer comes in and picks his or her own carpets, own appliances, own cabinets. So now that I'm alone, I cannot ask Ray, but I can ask you. So make comments and I'll try to answer them. Let me see if there are any right now. But I'll go along with it and give you my opinion on what they should do. So the question is whether to fix it or not. So there's two ways to look at it. And I'm talking about a typical house. In a typical house, if it's in good shape, but the paint rooms have different colors, or the carpet is in bad shape and they have dogs and there's stains in there and the carpet has a lot of odors, excuse me, windows are old and not being changed. So if you want to bring the house up to par, and I'm not saying go and gut the whole place, but paint the house. If you have different colors, one of the cheapest thing you can do to add value, and value in the sense of selling it faster and getting a better price, the cheapest thing you can do, well, two things. First, you have to declutter your house. We all live in the house. Maybe you've been in the house for 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 30 years, and we have a lot of junk in the house. Yes, sorry to say that, but we have a lot of junk. If you look at my room, this is a studio, but in the other room, I have a lot of stuff in there. Stuff from years and years. My kids moved out 5, 10 years ago, and I still have their stuff. I'm looking at a closet right now. That's my son's closet. It's full of his stuff. He's never going to use it, but I have it. So the first thing you do is declutter the house, because by decluttering, you're making space, and buyers buy space. So the first thing you do is make the room look bigger. Get rid of stuff from your kitchen, from your bedrooms, from your bathrooms, from your living room. You're not going to use it. When you sell the house, you're not going to take it with you. So might as well get rid of it in a nice way. Give it to somebody, donate it to somebody, sell it, make some money, whatever. That's the first thing you do. Second thing you do is, if your paint is old, one room has pink color because your daughter was in there, other room is orange color because your son was there, or whatever reason, they are different colors and off trendy colors, make the house, neutralize it, and that'll add a lot of value. The second thing you can do at a very reasonable cost is, if the flooring is bad, in one room you have red carpet, in one room you have brown carpet, in one room you have old vinyl, different colors flooring, maybe you want to make it all even, all maybe hard floors or tiles or neutral carpet. And this does not cost much, but by painting and doing carpeting evenly, it's a totally different house. Now, you still might have older appliances. You might still have the older cabinets. You might still have the older countertops or the old sinks. You don't have to change those, because once you start going into those, that costs you a lot of money, because you have to tear out things like a kitchen cabinets or counter sinks and everything. You have to tear them all out. That becomes expensive. So what you can do is do the basic things, bring the house up to par, and then when the buyer comes in, you adjust the price and let them come and do the cabinets that they want or the countertops that they want, etc. So that's one way to keep your cost down as a seller, because as a seller, you probably want to sell and then buy another house, whether it's in state, in California, where I'm at in Orange County, or move out of state, and you want to maximize your profit from selling your home. So that's one of the things you want to do. But if you want, or you don't want to do nothing, you don't want to do anything, you're too busy working, you don't have a lot of time, you have medical issues, and you just want to sell as it is, sell it now and go before the election or right after the election. I'm going to stand for just a minute so I'm more comfortable. So give me 1 minute. There you go. Just for a minute. Okay, thank you. So Let me adjust it a little bit. My stool is wobbly here, so I just want to make sure that it's okay. So anyway, and you may not want to spend upfront money. It costs 20, 30, 40, 50,000 upfront, and you may not be in a position to spend that money upfront because your money is tied up in equity in your home. So there's a lot of reasons where you may not want to sell. And in that case, what you do is sell it as it is. And taking our example, if the other house was totally remodeled and it was listed for 1.25, it also had a pool and you don't have a pool, maybe you want to adjust the price and knock out 60, 70, $80,000 or $100,000. But you don't have to do all that work and spend 2 or 3 months fixing it, going through all the hassles. And today, just the kitchen alone in Orange County, all the kitchens I've had sellers done, or I've done my own kitchen, a basic kitchen remodel costs $30,000. And then you have paint and carpet and appliances. 50 grand is just a snap, at least in Orange County areas. So if you don't want to spend all that money, all that time, all the hassles, then sell it as it is. So that's one concern. So either you do it, and you may be a contractor, you may be a handyman, and you may have 6 more months to sell. Start doing the work now. Every weekend you do things, paint one room, paint another room, and keep going. And you can do it for $20,000 or whatever. So it's a lot cheaper. So that's an option that you have. There's a lot of options. So now I want to talk about the perspective of the buyers. What do they expect when it comes to buying a house? Talking about the property, what do they look for in the house? As you, the seller selling, you don't want to do things because you have medical issues, and you don't want to paint, and you don't want to spend money up front because you don't have money. It's all your money is in the equity in the house. So when the buyer comes in, when they look at the house, there are 2 types of buyers. There are buyers that want ready homes. They want to come in, buy, it's ready to move in. They want to move in Friday, Saturday, Sunday, go to work on Monday. So they want ready to go homes, and they'll pay you the extra 40, 50, 60, $100,000 depending on your area, and they'll move on. In fact, we have a high demand for homes, and all kinds of homes are selling. So the buyer that wants ready to go home is going to do that. Then there's buyers. A lot of my buyers are like that. They're very picky, or they're very sensitive on pricing, and they want a nickel and dime. So if your house, if you're a seller, is not done up to par, the buyers may come in and say, hey, if I come in and spend 50, 60, $70,000, I want you to drop the price. So the buyers will knock down your price. I'm going to sit down now. Oops, sorry. Because the chair is wobbly. Sorry for the distraction. So it's a two-way street. Buyers are looking for the best deal out there, and sellers are looking for the best deal out there as far as not spending money, and the buyers want to save as much as they can. So, and when it comes to agents, we are always in the middle trying to negotiate lower price for the buyers and a higher price for the sellers. So I wanted to mention that. Now I want to switch gears and just show you what was happening. When I had Ray earlier as my guest, we talked about a certain thing. So I want to bring those topics and kind of talk about those. So let me bring this topic, a very important topic about if Ray was a buyer, or you're thinking of buying in the future, what are the mortgage rates going to do? Well, here's a chart. It shows you since January 2023 on the left, rates went up as high as almost 7.5 or 7.75%. Now they're down to 6%. And we are hoping that by election or before election, there might be a small drop, but definitely they expect a drop by December. So hopefully the rates come down, which helps a lot of buyers come back into the market because their affordability becomes better. And the affordability is becoming better because of 3 reasons. One, the rates have dropped. So all of a sudden you can buy a lot of homes. The prices are not jumping and jumping. They're stabilizing. They're not dropping, but they're stabilizing. That makes it more affordable to buy a house. And the third reason is because the wages have been going up a little bit. So these 3 factors make buying a home a lot easier than a year ago. Let's switch to the next slide, which is home prices are moderating. I just mentioned that to you. Year over year, changing in home prices. If you look over here, and I'm not sure, let me see here. There you go. If you notice over here, the peak prices have come down. They've gone up again, but they're stabilizing, they're moderating, so they're not jumping, which means that home prices are not going to jump 5%, 10% per year. They're jumping 1 or 2 or 3%. And of course, as you know, these are the national figures and national trends in housing. But of course, I mentioned earlier that Florida is taking a big hit. Some parts of Palm Springs, 2 hours from here, is taking a hit. Joshua Tree, 3 hours from here, a desert town, is taking a hit. I heard that Celebrations in Florida is home prices are down over there. So what I'm trying to say is that real estate is hyper local. So even though these are trends nationwide, your area may be going up or down depending on your local trends. So if you need a realtor, ask them to just give you a study or what's happening. If you're thinking about selling or moving, contact me. I have a nationwide database. I can refer you to the top agents who know what they're talking about, who knows the trends, who are experienced with 5, 10, 15 years, so they know what they're doing. So I'll be glad to refer you. Just make a comment and I'll be refer you an agent in your area. Moving on, let's look at this chart about wages. I just mentioned the wages to you as well. Wages are rising faster than usual. Thank God, because for a while they were not increasing that much. They had actually dropped. So if you look at the wages in 2020, there was a drop. Of course, I'm sure COVID had something to do with that. But if you look at the last 2 years, 2023 and 2024, of the weekly payrolls for all workers in the private sector, it has gone up. And it's still going up. The trend is, and from what I'm hearing from other experts that I read articles on or look at blogs or see their YouTube videos, wages are rising, which is good news, because the higher the wage, the more you can afford and easier for you to afford if you're a seller. And moving on, let's go to another stage. Going back to the seller, and I'm going back and forth between a buyer and seller, because the buyer could become a seller when they sell, or the seller may sell and buy another house. So I'm going back and forth to show you the correlation between them. So let's say I was talking to Ray right now, and I would tell Ray, hey, Ray, if you want to sell your house, these are the 3 things we have to do to sell your house, assuming he wanted to move to Boston or Texas or whatever. So the first thing I would tell him is that you have to price it right. If there is one thing, I've been selling for 25 years, more than 25 years, but I'll keep it at 25. If there's one thing and one biggest reason a house does not sell, no matter how good it is, no matter what the location is, no matter how much marketing we do, no matter how many open houses we do, if it's not priced right, buyers are not stupid. Buyers have access to all the apps in the world. They have access to Zillow, Realtor.com. They have access to all the agents. They have access to everything. So just you as a seller have your reasoning to ask for a higher price based on the activity you saw in your neighborhood. Buyers have their reason to offer you a certain price because they have done their research. So price it right and your house will sell. Most homes that sell right away don't even need marketing because they've been prepared. They have been staged. They have been prepped by the realtor's advice or suggestions. Painted, take out the orders, take out the old carpet, trim the yard, make the curb appeal nice, make the pictures, videos, photos excellent. So when they see online, they're going to call us and say, hey, I saw this house that you sent me. I love the backyard. I love the kitchen. I love the decor. Let's go take a look at it. They're going to buy. So if it's priced right, if it's what we call dogs, the homes that are not that good looking, we call them dogs, they sell. And the homes that are quality homes, they sell as well. And that has to do with the price. The second thing I would tell Ray is that select repairs. Assuming he's been there 15, 20 years and is a busy guy, I have about 7 things in my house to be done. My filter's not working. My smoke alarm came out. My frame is broken. One of my faucets is leaking. The water filter that I have on my sink is not working because I haven't changed the filters, because I don't like to fix things. I can't even fix things. So I've been lazy. I've been really busy. I have to call a handyman one day and have him do all that in one day. So there are homes who have a decent living but just don't have the time or the interest in fixing, like me. So if I was to sell my house, the first thing I would do, and if I was Ray, I would tell Ray, hey, the 7 things you told me, fix it up, because they're going to see it. The buyers are going to see all that. So the first thing we tell them to do is make those select repairs, and which is different than making remodels. I'm not telling them to put a brand new refrigerator or a brand new stove or a brand new cabinet. I'm just telling them to fix things that will be noticeable. And then the second thing I want to talk about, or the third thing, is for the sellers to give concessions to the buyer's agent. This is a brand new topic. I'm even surprised that I'm talking about it. I'm not saying commissions. So what that means is, right now, with the new regulations starting August 17th, 2024, the new regulations was the sellers cannot pay the buyer's agent directly or advertise how much they are paying to the buyer's agent. They cannot advertise the commissions. We call it concessions. And when the buyer goes to see the house, they have to sign a contract or a document agreeing with the buyer's agent that the buyer and the buyer's agent will work together for a certain period of time, whether it's 1 day or 90 days, to find homes. And when they find homes, the buyer has to agree to pay the buyer's agent the commission. Yes, I said that correctly. The buyer has to agree to pay the buyer's agent the commission when they buy the house. Now, it's been about 45 days or almost 2 months that this new law came about, and we're finding out that most sellers are paying the commissions to the buyer's agent. I take that back. Most sellers are paying concessions to the buyer's agent. What that means is, if I was the buyer's agent and my buyers like the house and I make an offer, now I've made an agreement that my buyer is going to pay me the buyer's agent commission. But because I want the best for my buyer, I'm going to turn around and say, hey, Mr. Seller. Of course, I won't talk to the seller. I will talk to the seller's agent and say, look, we love your house. Our buyers, we won't say love your house because that's a giveaway. We want to make an offer. This is how much the price is. And we want the seller to pay the concession of 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever. So we ask for the concessions, and the sellers 95% of the time so far are paying it. So that's a new thing, and we have to educate and give the sellers information about how to pay concessions. Now, the concessions, there could be several concessions, especially depending on the loan and the condition of the house. There's 3 types of concessions they have to pay or have to pay. One is obviously the commissions to the buyer's agent, because if the sellers say, hey, no, I'm not going to pay any concessions, and the buyer's barely making enough money to pay the down payment, we can't buy your house. So then the seller will lose that deal, even though my buyer is ready to offer. So we recommend that the sellers pay the concessions. The second concession is, maybe the house, when we bought the house and did the inspection, found out there's a lot of stuff in the house that needs work. Like if they come to my house, they're going to find these things, and I'll gladly pay those concessions to repair the faucet, to change the filter, to put the fire sprinkler, fire alarm, or whatever. So I will have it fixed, or I can pay the buyer concession and say, here's $5,000, go fix it yourself. So that's the second concession. The third concession is, especially when there are FHA loans, which is the Federal Housing Administration loan, or the VA loans, where the buyer wants your house but does not have enough down payment, or may just have enough money for the down payment but does not have money for repairs, does not have enough money for closing costs, and does not have the money for the concessions, which is commissions. So now he might say, you know what, I want the $5,000 in fixing up the house because I'm paying you full price, but after inspection we found out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things are not working. So you are paying the concessions to my buyer's agent. Now we want you to pay the $5,000 in closing in repairs, but we also love your house and we want you to pay $5,000 in closing costs, because we have appraisals and we have lender fees, we have title fees or attorney fees, depending on what state you are in. So all those add up. So the seller may end up paying all these concessions, and they do if they want to sell the house, if they want the top price. We see this happen all the time. So this is nothing new. It just happens, but it's a different formality of selling after the change of the August 2024 NAR change of regulations when it comes to commission. So the bottom line is, the seller cannot advertise to the buyer's agent how much commission they're going to pay up front. The buyer's agent have to ask for it. So I went kind of round and round, but I wanted to explain properly how this works. So I'm going to remove this slide and go to share a screen from a website. And I want to talk about, if you are a seller and if you're a buyer, I wanted to understand how the seller thinks about selling, or what are the 9 steps in selling a house in today's market. And this could be in local market, it could be in any market, and it could be any type of house. So I'm going to kind of briefly go through these steps and won't talk a lot about it, but kind of go through it. Let me go back to the screen here. Okay. There you go. Hopefully you can see it. There you go. You can see that. So let me just talk about it briefly, the 9 steps it takes to sell a house. The first thing is set a timeline. So if I'm thinking about moving to Texas, and let's take Ray's example, he's thinking about moving to Texas starting February or March, for whatever reason, or maybe next year in June, because the kids are going to start high school or whatever. Set a timeline. Do you have to move in 1 month, 6 months? And set a timeline. That's the first thing you have to do. The second thing is hire an agent. Hire an agent way before you put it on the market. So start talking to them. I have been talking to this gentleman that I mentioned to you for 3 months now, on and off. He calls me up, and I know the gentleman. They're good family friends. They didn't know what to do. So they called me up and said, I'm thinking about moving. What should I do? Then he calls me up and say, hey, how would I price it? Little questions here and there. Now they're getting ready to move. They want to move by end of December. And they're already preparing their house. So I recommended them, consulted with them, gave them recommendations. They're going to hire a contractor and do the little things that I mentioned earlier. Do the paint, do the flooring, fix up little things. So they have a timeline. So hiring a professional agent is very important. That's the first thing you have to do. And again, if you need a referral for a top agent in your local neighborhood, I have a nationwide database of top agents. I'll be glad to refer you. Please make any comments, and I'll be glad to talk to you and refer you and personally answer any of your questions. Moving on to the third step is determine if you need any upgrades. I won't get in too much into this, but depending on the price you pay, depending on the area you're in, figure out what things you're going to have to do. Do you have to do any upgrades or just fixing it up and all that? So I'll end that one over there. And then number 4, very important, is set a realistic price. That's the best thing you can do, is set a realistic price. If you're not going to fix anything, if you're going to sell house as it is because you don't have money to fix it, or you have medical issues and you can't do any work, don't want to hire anybody, etc., then there's. On the other hand, like I mentioned earlier, the other gentleman that I talked earlier about, he's thinking about upgrading certain things, willing to spend $30, $40, $50, $60,000. Then we have to adjust the price up a little bit. So set a realistic price so it sells in time. So when you sell, and if you're going to move to Texas or wherever, you can find a house and does not disrupt your timeline. Second thing is list with pro photos. This is very important. And when it says photos, it means photos, drone photography, video photography, Matterport photography, which means that I can go in there and look at all the floor plans. I'm having a pictures taken today as we speak, and I'm having a Matterport photography taken, so they can actually walk the room, measure the room size from online. Those are very important things, because remember, 90% of all the buyers start their home search online. And as you know, they scroll, how these youngsters are, especially because a lot of the home buyers are youngsters. And if they're scrolling through your house and does not like the picture or the carpet color, they're going to move on. So having great pictures, great videos, great floor plan is very important, because if they don't like that, they are not going to call their buyer's agent and say, show me this house. They're going to pass on your house. The next thing you have to do is, when you get an offer, review all the offers. Some people like to review the offers as soon as they come in. Some people like to take offers and say, let's wait 7 days, let all the offers come in, then we'll review all the offers. That's your choice, and your agent can recommend you what's best for you. But review offers and see what's best for you. Sometimes the highest price offer may not be the best one for you, because they might say, hey, look, I'll buy your house, I'll pay you the $900,000 California home, but I have my little condo that I want to sell. So can you wait until I sell my condo? Do you want to do that? If you want to do that, you fine, take the higher price. But if you're in a crunch, if you have to move by December and it's already October, what if the condo does not sell? Then you're stuck, and you have a cash offer for, let's say, 875, but they can close in 15 days. Would you take that offer? No contingencies, no repairs, no appraisal, all cash, wham bam slam, and they'll let you stay there for 30 days for free. Will you take 875, or will you wait for 2 or 3 months for $900,000, but you have uncertainty on your timeline? That's up to you, but that's what you have to decide. Review all offers, pick the best one, what's best for you based on your situation and based on what your realtor tells you and suggests. Step number 7 is weigh all the closing cost. Keep track of how much you'll need to pay at the closing table. If you're a buyer, you need to bring in money for the down payment, maybe the commissions, maybe the closing cost and all that. If you're a seller, you have the concessions to pay, not only your agent, but the buyer's agent. You might have to pay closing cost. You might have to pay repairs. You might have to pay a second loan that you have. You had one loan, you refinance, or you have a HELOC loan, so you have a second loan. You might have a solar system that the buyer wants your house, but he does not want to pay your solar system, but he's a great buyer. So you may have to pay the extra $15,000 solar system. So are you willing to pay all that? So weigh your closing cost and then make another decision. The next thing is consider an attorney. In California, we use escrow companies. We don't use attorneys. If you have an attorney, but if you have a situation and you need to talk to an attorney, talk to an attorney to make a decision on what to do, what not to do. If you have a lien on the house, or if you're going through a divorce and the wife is not signing, or the husband is not signing, or there's two brothers fighting for the house. I'm listing a property right now as we speak, and there's a dispute between the partnerships. So I have an attorney talking to them and deciding how much, who will get how much. And we're going through that process right now. To make things worse, by the way, on that rental property, not only are the partners fighting, the tenant may not move out and not pay rent. And that's a whole new situation. And I may have to refer them to an eviction attorney. So things happen. Life is not that easy. The next thing to consider, and the last step that they recommend, and by the way, this website is from bankrate.com. If you want further resources, send me an email. I'll send you more resources, but you can visit the website of bankrate.com. It's a great website with lots of information on loans, banks, rates, and simple procedures when it comes to buying and selling and investing. So the last thing is the close. Make sure you have all your documents ready. If you're a buyer, you need to have everything ready. Don't purchase anything last week. Don't go buy a car. Don't go buy a boat. Don't go buy appliances. Get excited, because that'll show up on your credit card and you will not get the loan. If you're on the seller side, make sure that you have all the statements given to your attorney who handles your sale, or the escrow has it. So when you close escrow, all the parties are paid. The title company, the escrow company, the first loan, the second loan, the solar company, whatever it is, have all the documents in line, so that when the escrow closes, everybody's paid, and then you get your money, and you can take your money and go buy a house or go to retirement, etc. So I'm hoping that this has really helped you in understanding how the sales process works. It's a very basic process. Each one is different because it's unique to you and your situation and your area and what is happening in your market at that given time. It may be a hot market. It might have been a hot market and things were selling like hotcakes. Take example of Florida, and I hate to use the example of Florida when they're going through this hurricane season, but Florida is an example right now where the inventory is up 30-40%. A lot of homes are coming on the market. A lot of the companies like Blackstone and other big companies who bought a lot of rental properties are selling undervalued because they are liquidating. The disasters that keep coming and that has come over the last few years have skyrocketed the insurance money. The strict regulations with the homeowners association has affected the homeowners association to raise the prices sky high. So when you look at the property tax going high, insurance rates going sky high, HOA is going sky high, all this has affected the Florida market. So it may be a different market now when you sell versus 6 months ago. So understand the market and price it and market it accordingly. So there's a lot of information. I'm going to stop giving you any more information because it's a lot to digest. But I hope that what I presented was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please make any comments. I will be back here on Monday at 2 p.m. like every Monday. And if you want to hear about a certain topic, please make a comment while you're watching this video on a recording, and I'll be glad to respond. Thanks again and appreciate your time. Bye-bye.